All right, more 49ers trade talk. Frederick, Maryland now. Cool old town that has a suspension bridge and some water, like a award-winning park. And apparently some good food, but the lines are a little bit too long. I'll show you guys a funny little visual in a second. Anyway, I want to talk about Calais Campbell of the Dolphins. Maybe not for long. 38-year-old, future Hall of Famer. Is that a possibility for the 49ers? Maybe. And Jadeveon Clowney. That seems to come up every single season when we talk about the 49ers and the trade market. He's with the Panthers right now, and they're terrible. Worst team in the league. So there may be an opportunity there for the 49ers to pounce. I know that yesterday, and you could watch the video from Baltimore, talked about another potential 49ers trade target, Davon Godchaux and Jeffrey Simmons. But I do think it's imperative that we talk about somebody like Calais Campbell, just because of the immediate boost he could give every single position on the 49ers defensive line. He's played over 100 snaps this year at defensive tackle and over 100 snaps at edge rusher, 308 pounds for the Miami Dolphins. So this is a vet, like I said, future Hall of Famer, somebody who is trained in all aspects of D-line play, who I think could give the 49ers that needed boost of depth that they are seeking along the defensive line. Now, everything that the 49ers do has to make sense, and it also takes two to tango. So the Miami Dolphins, they're playing the Buffalo Bills today. If Miami loses, they're 2-6. They're more likely to be in let's collect future assets mode, let's sell. But if Miami wins this game, well, they're more likely to be in buy mode. Regardless of what happens, have to evaluate where they're at on November 5th or by the trade deadline on November 5th to determine what they're going to do. So you can't just make trades happen. I think a lot of people just assume the 49ers are going to pick players up because they're very aggressive, and they typically do at the trade deadline. But as John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan have both been saying, it is going to be reliant on multiple factors, and some of those are outside the 49ers' control. So that's Calais Campbell. I think that you have to love him. I think even at 38, he could give the 49ers a nice boost along the defensive line. And then there's Jadeveon Clowney. Clowney's only 31 years old. Now, it seems that he's older than that. To me, he's been in the league for a good 15 years, but I think that the time seems longer because of how many teams Clowney has been on since he's started with the Texans. But still a good player this year with the Carolina Panthers. 7 pressures in a game earlier this season for Carolina, who is terrible. So they're interested definitely in picking up some future compensation for Jadeveon Clowney since they're going nowhere this season. The 7 pressures earlier this season in the game tells me that he still has some juice at age 31. Clowney, unlike Calais Campbell, exclusively an edge rusher. So the 49ers do need depth too at that position. It falls off a cliff after Nick Bosa, Leonard Floyd, and Sam Okawanu. That's where Clowney would be able to help. Hell, you could even say maybe they go after 2 guys, maybe none. It all depends on how things materialize here in the trade market over the next couple days. The market is a dynamic thing. It's an unpredictable thing. But I do know for a fact that the 49ers are looking to add, but just at the right price. That is the key, the right price for San Francisco as they try to gear up for a Super Bowl run. Now, tomorrow's a potentially really big day for the 49ers in that longer-term regard because Christian McCaffrey might return to practice. They can open that window, and then they'd have 3 weeks to activate him to the 53-man roster from injured reserve. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. Obviously, something that I'll be reporting on thoroughly here over the next few days. 49ers can pick up quite a bit of talent, add a lot to their roster, the active roster, without even making a trade. That's how much they have on injured reserve. The most money in the NFL, over $90 million of 2024 cap hit on injured reserve at the moment for the 49ers. McCaffrey only tops that list as far as star power goes. Other guys like Talanoa Hufanga on the defensive side of the ball are there as well. Javon Hargrave, whenever you talk about a trade for a defensive lineman, you have to factor in that the 49ers might return Hargrave for the postseason this year. And contrary to popular thought, he was actually very, very effective in that final game against the Rams where he tore the triceps muscle in terms of pass rushing. The guy's one of the better pass rushers coming from the interior in the league. So that could be some juice that the 49ers add. I do think that they need to focus on versatility up front when it comes to run defense and pass defense, and maybe even the positional versatility. We've seen Sam Okawanu line up at edge, move over into defensive tackle. We know that Chris Kasarik defenses love to be able to do that. They love to be able to deploy guys like Arden Key, who I wouldn't rule out. He's with the Titans right now. Maybe that's somebody that Tennessee is willing to move. Guys like Charles Omenihu with the Chiefs, so I would definitely rule Omenihu to the 49ers out. But 49ers do love the Calais Campbells of the world who can line up anywhere along that defensive line to provide the versatility that is necessary to succeed. So whoever you add to the defense, if Javon Hargrave also returns later this season for the postseason, assuming the 49ers make it there, it's going to be up to Chris Kasarik to find a right way to balance the different positions, playing time for different guys. With somebody like Javon Hargrave, not as good of a run defender, but a really good pass rusher, well, you find a way to leverage his strengths on appropriate downs and also make sure that you get those big bodies inside playing on the base downs so you can stop the run and have some fun. That was the theme when we talked about Davon Godchaux yesterday. 330-pounder, that's a guy that can help stop the run for the 49ers. Look at players like Calais Campbell. Well, yes, he can stop the run, but he's also had games with multiple pressures this year. It's all puzzle. It's going to be fascinating to see how the 49ers construct it moving forward. So Frederick, such a cool East Coast town, and it punches above its weight when it comes to church spires. They seem to be everywhere in this downtown with the red brick and obviously the fall leaves. That's been the theme of the videos from the past couple days, including that one from Baltimore yesterday. I think they're mainly Ravens fans here. So if it ends up being a 49ers-Ravens Super Bowl, we can revisit our beautiful early November Sunday in Frederick. They're all watching the Ravens game as we speak right now. Ravens playing the Denver Broncos. You know, we talk about 49ers trade targets. The first guy that people talked about after week 3 was DJ Jones. He's playing for Denver, but that Denver defense is really good, and Bo Nix is playing a lot better. He is number 5 over the past 2 weeks in EPA, their rookie quarterback. So they're pairing the excellent defense with a good quarterback, and I think that Denver's not going to be selling anytime soon. Surtain on that defense, but DJ Jones is a player that I'm sure the 49ers would love to reunite with, but it's just not looking all too realistic. That said, there are some realistic options out there, and it was fun to talk about them from here. I mentioned the funny little restaurant side by side earlier in this video. I'll let you guys have a look as we check out the fine dining scene in Frederick.